Yo, it's crunch time. We are in Q4 officially, which means there's only, 90 days, depending on when this podcast comes out, less than 90 days before the end of year. That means we are in the fourth quarter of the game. We are getting towards crunch time, and this is when you need to step up and start playing to the absolute limit of your abilities, because you need to treat this as though as soon as the end of the year, the game is over, and now you're stepping into a new game. So you need to play the rest of this year balls out. And one of the difficulties of setting annual goals in January is that you have a whole year to accomplish it. There's no urgency in a lot of cases. And because they're really big, audacious goals that you probably set for yourself this year, and you also don't have the urgency associated with it, a lot of things probably got pushed or didn't get pushed as hard in Q1, Q2, Q3 as they could have. Now, maybe in Q1, straight out of the gate, you were so fired up, so maybe you made really good progress. But then in Q2, Q3, you started to slack a little bit. And now that we come into Q4, maybe you're behind the eight ball. Maybe you're so far behind that now you're starting to question if it's even possible, therefore question whether it's even worth trying to finish out the year. Or maybe you're already starting to readjust your goals, recalibrating your expectations, and kind of accepting, you know what, this just isn't going to be my year. Bullshit. I don't accept that. I accept that you will give everything and you will finish as strong as you can. I used to run cross country and track in high school, and then I ran my first 2 years in college. I was never a great long distance runner. I was okay. I was the best on my team in high school and went and did well there. But by the time I got to college, I was getting smashed. But I ran the mile a lot. The mile is a 4-lap race. And in that race, there's a lot of strategy, but it's a hard race in the sense that it's just beyond what you can sprint, and it's not quite a super long distance. So it's not it's not purely anaerobic, it's not purely aerobic. It's this weird blend between the two, and you gotta really balance it. So you're kind of running really fast for a long period of time, but not that long enough that you can get a little bit bored and complacent. Because there's 4 laps, right? Everybody on lap 1 comes out strong. They run hard and everybody's balled up. And if you're not careful, you run too hard, you blow up, and you're not going to recover for the rest of the race. But most people don't have a hard time keeping on their target race pace in lap 1. If anything, they go too fast. Lap 2, they might still be kind of locked in on that pace, still feeling fresh. The pain hasn't really started hitting yet. They're not getting complacent yet. And so typically you can still hit your race pace pretty easily in lap 2. Now the problem is in lap 3, this is Q3 the way I think about it usually, is that's where we start getting really complacent, especially if you look at the calendar year. It's like the summer months where it's starting to hurt, you're starting to get tired, you still have a long ways to go, and now you're starting to think not about running that 3rd lap strong. Now you're just thinking about maybe kind of conserving energy so that you don't blow up and that you have enough to be able to finish that 4th lap strong, right? And so a lot of people, where they really end up losing their time is on the 3rd lap, because they kind of got complacent. They didn't run it as hard as they could. And then they try to make it all up in Q4, but you can only make up so much. You can only run that 1 lap so fast to make up the time. Right, so the people who are really great, they are fantastic at spreading the effort out evenly across the year, across all the laps. But just recognize that you're maybe in that situation where you're coming off of a Q3 where maybe you were a little bit complacent, you got a little bit light on the effort, and now you're coming into Q4 and you're realizing, maybe like a lot of people do, I've done this too, I do this a lot on a lot of my goals, is that you're like, well, I can't really make the progress that I want to make in this 4th. I can't make up all this difference, right? And so a lot of people will just give up because they take a very binary approach to their goals. It's like either you did it or you didn't do it. And it's not, I encourage you to change that framework, that perspective, to thinking about your goals on a spectrum. It's not, did you do it or didn't you do it? It's like, how well did you do it? To what degree did you do it? How close did you get to it? And right now, your goal, if you're not going to be able to hit that goal by the end of the year, is to say, how close can I get to it? And then recalibrate the expectations that this is going to be the quarter that you leave it all on the field, that you go after it really hard, because time is running out. And so finally, you have urgency on your side. So use it to great effect, because 2 years ago, I had set the goal. I had an injury in my back that had caused me a lot of pain, like a lot of neurological pain in my spine. And it's getting to the point where this had been bothering me for about a year, and the pain had subsided about 6 months before that, but I was very weak and I was very out of shape. I was very out of condition. And I had set the goal that year that I wanted to achieve a certain weight goal and body fat percentage. And I had gotten really lackadaisical with it because getting back that momentum, that inertia was so hard, right? As Sir Isaac Newton says, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object in rest tends to stay at rest. I had been at rest for so long, it was really hard to get back into motion. And I remember coming into Q4, it was in October, right around this time of the year, where I still had about 15 pounds to lose. And up to that point in the year, I had lost like 8 of like the 20 that I wanted to lose. And I was like, this is impossible. Like, it's taken me all year, 10 months to lose 8 pounds. How am I gonna lose 15 in the next 3? And I kind of wrote it off and just said, it's just not gonna happen. But then something happened in November, like a mindset shift happened where I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna make this happen. I'm going to take the extreme actions necessary to hit this goal, or at least get as close to it as I can. So Jamie and I, we went on Whole30, I think was the diet plan, where it's like you cut out all sugar. It's very restrictive diet. It's not restrictive, it like calorically. I wasn't starving myself. It was restricting what I was eating and making sure I was eating super clean. And then I started increasing my workout output every single day. And what happened? Well, I put in the work, and the results started to show. By the end of that 1 month of November, of just taking it seriously, like deadly seriously for 1 month, I hit my goal. I hit my goal in that 1 month and lost the 15 pounds that I had intended to lose over. I told myself I couldn't lose over 3 months. I did it in 1 month. Okay, it just shows like you can do this. And then going into December, I actually continued to lose weight, like continue to get even fitter, like go beyond the goal that I had set for myself. And I was able to maintain that into the new year because, again, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. Once I was in motion, it became much easier, but it was like that inertia, that initial expenditure of energy was so hard. But once I did it, it all got really easy. And it was just from a mindset shift of saying, like, I'm not going to accept failure. I'm not going to accept that I didn't try my hardest. Like, I will accept failure, but I will not accept that I did not try. And only you really know if you tried. So, take that to the grave. But I wanted to give you this little rah-rah because time is running out. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know which grand ambitions you had for the year. But if you're not on pace for them, like, now is the time to make a pivot, to make an adjustment. Anybody can suffer for 3 months. I believe in you. You can do it. You gotta want it though. So hopefully this brings you a little bit of value, a little motivation or inspiration. And as always, guys, I appreciate you being here. We'll catch you back around these parts tomorrow. But until then, stay hyper-focused, my friends.